So Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to our Gita Gyan level 2. So we'll just get started. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Ek Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vigna Vinasha Narasimha Itinam Mukam Karoti Vachadam Pangum Langayatim Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Om Tat Sat. So Hare Krishna everybody. So welcome back to our Gita Gyan level 2. So we are continuing with our regular topic, which is from the Gita Mahatmya. So it's supposed to be chapter 10, but because we did not really complete chapter 9, the summary of the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9 previously, so we will go through the chapter 9 summary, and after the chapter 9 summary, there will be a nice story it's not from the Gita Mahatmya, this will be from the Srimad Bhagavatam in relation to this chapter also. So a little bit of recap to begin with. Chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita is a very special chapter. This is the heart of the Bhagavad Gita. 18 chapters. So right in the middle, chapter 9 is the middle chapter. So it's considered the heart of the Bhagavad Gita. So because it's the heart of the Bhagavad Gita, so it's known as the most confidential knowledge, Raja Vidya Yoga. So why is it most confidential knowledge? It is most confidential knowledge because it has, it is basically giving the highest secret. It's the secret of how we can, because there are a few things when we talk about transcendence. When we speak about spirituality, there is, karma kanda. Karma kanda or Pravriti Marga, it's the path of fruitive activities. One follows the regulations in the Vedic scriptures and whatever recommendations is given, Subhakaryam, or auspicious activities. So like, get samskaras, getting married, all the rituals and things like that, all that is fruitive activities. People sometimes confuse that as spirituality. It is recommended based on scripture, so therefore people think that it's spirituality, but it's not the real spirituality, because it only helps us to become happy in this material world. It helps us to remain in a positive environment within this material world. How to remain happy in this material world. But then this material world is not a place of happiness. It's called dukkhalayam. So to try to remain happy in this material world, it's like if you are going in a journey, and if to put a lot of effort. Let's say you're going on a journey, and then a train journey. So in the train compartment, sometimes the train compartment is not as comfortable as you might want it. Sometimes you may have to share with somebody or whatever it is. But we understand it's a temporary situation. So it doesn't make sense that if someone invests a lot of energy, time, and effort to decorate the train compartment, make it look wonderful, to make it extremely comfortable, just for a journey. So Pravriti Marga or Karma Kanda is like that. It's basically how you can live in our situation and remain happy. But it's not permanent, it's temporary, because there are full of all kinds of situations. This material world is full of danger. At every step there is danger. Anytime, the times can change, natural disasters may happen, three types of miseries: miseries of the mind, miseries due to other entities. So then there is also something called Nivritti Marga. So therefore, if Pavriti Marga, that means getting material comforts legally through the recommendation of the scripture, is not the main thing. So then there are some people who think about, how do I get out from this material creation? So that is the Nivritti Marga, or the path of transcendence. So they go into renunciation, not so much into materialism. But that one can only give liberation. It can only liberate one from the cycle of birth and death for a short while, because it doesn't establish the jiva in his actual original position. And the actual original position of the jiva, in which he can remain eternally in the spiritual abode, is only if he has developed devotion or bhakti for the Supreme Lord. Why? Because the dharma of the jiva is jivera swarupa hoy, krishnera nitya dasa. So nitya das, eternal servant of the Lord. That is the swarupa, or the eternal position of the jiva. So if until the jiva develops this mentality, okay, it's not the word mentality, this consciousness, until the jiva develops this consciousness, he will always remain just on the periphery. Therefore, he can still, though liberated, because he's not established properly, he will again fall down into the material creation. So that's the problem. So how do we get this bhakti? So this bhakti has its root in what is called love or prema. But love cannot be forced. So love can only exist when there is freedom of will. So because of this, therefore, the Lord gives us a choice. So we as the jiva, we have a choice. We can either choose to love and serve the Lord or not. So that's the free will which is given to us. So the jiva's position is something like this picture here. You can see this elephant is standing on a ball trying to balance, And in the background, you can see between the sea and the shore. So between the land and the sea. So right in the middle, Tatashta. This is the center area. So the jiva is like that. He is trying to balance. Now the jiva, how long can this elephant remain standing like this? How long can he balance in that ball? Obviously, he cannot stay too long, isn't it? He can remain like that for a few minutes. If it's very good, at least maybe for an hour. But eventually, he will have to drop. Either he can drop on the sea or he can drop on the land. So he can choose which side he wants to drop. So that is the thing with the jiva. The jiva's position is in between. The jiva is spiritual, but at the same time, free choice is given. So what is this free choice? So therefore, you know, when the jiva opens his eyes and he sees the personality of Godhead, very beautiful, very wonderful, very glorious, so nice. Everything is so wonderful. Just imagine we meet somebody like this in our life, in our day-to-day life. When we meet someone like that, what is the feeling we will get? There are two ways we can have feelings, right? One feeling is either when we meet such wonderful, qualified, so nice, the person is so great, so beautiful, so powerful, so intelligent, everything, maximum. When we meet such a person, either we become completely, overwhelmed by that person. We become so carried over by that person. We feel, wow, so nice. I want to be this person's friend. I want to know the one friend. I want to serve him. I want to serve this person. I want to be with this person. I always want to be associated with that person. So we can either think that way. So that's how the jiva, when he opens his eyes and he sees Krishna, and then he can either love and serve that personality who is superbly wonderful. Either he can do that. So if he does that, that's called bhakti. If he has that kind of consciousness, that's bhakti. Or we could also, the other way the person can feel when he meets someone like that is he may develop desire or envy, right? He may say, oh, he's so great. I also think I can be great. Oh, he's so powerful. What if I can get the same power? Oh, he has this wonderful kingdom, these wonderful energies. I also want like that. Oh, he has this kind of relationships. I also want these kind of relationships, but competition. There is a competition. It's not like I want to have this relationship with Krishna. It's like I want to be something like Krishna and have this kind of same opulences. So then one can feel that way. So this kind of feeling is opposite. So this is coming from the root. The root cause is karma. There's desire in the heart. There's desire. So they have that desire to enjoy. They have that desire to separately enjoy from Krishna. So it comes from the root of envy, asuya. So why somebody will feel this way? Somebody will feel this way only for one reason. That is envy. So the envy comes from the karma. The karma is the root. Whereas opposite of karma is very similar to prema. But it is exactly opposite. Just like how the spiritual world is like the real tree and the material world is like the reflection of the tree. So in the same way, prema is the real thing and karma is the poor reflection of that prema, but it's completely opposite. Prema is to serve Krishna, karma is to serve ourselves. So that's the difference. So the root is karma, and from karma, asuya, envy comes. So when envy comes, then from there, desire, dvesha, icha and dvesh, desires and aversion appears in the jiva. So what does he desire? He also wants to have that kind of dominion. He wants to be Lord and Master, and he wants to be the enjoyer. He wants to be the Purusha. So this is the problem. So as soon as he develops this desire, that means he has chosen the other side. So therefore, this is misuse. This is called misuse of the free will. The Lord gave the free will to the jiva, and the jiva misuse this free will. Why? He cannot remain in the spiritual world, because the spiritual world, everything, all the shaktis which is surrounding the Lord is revolving around Krishna, is revolving around pleasing Krishna. So it's Antaranga Shakti. So he cannot remain there because he cannot satisfy his desire. So the Lord allows the jiva to satisfy his desire. So therefore, the shadow of the Antaranga Shakti is the Bahiranga Shakti, external energy. And this is a shadow energy of this. And it's also called Maya. And the nature of this energy is Maya, illusory. But and this is also known as Prakriti, or material energy. So material energy creates this material universe, and this is the playground where the jiva can try to satisfy his desire for dominion. So that's what happens. So this is the choice. So love can only exist when there is freedom of will. So prema cannot be forced. So the Lord has developed a plan where this material world is that part of that plan, where it's designed to correct the jiva's consciousness, to convert it from karma to prema, if he desires. So if he doesn't want to desire, if he doesn't want to develop prema, then he can continue trying to satisfy his karma within this material creation. He cannot do it within the spiritual world. He can only do it within the material creation. So what about those jiva who have, so we are all in this material world because we have made this karma choice. We have come here trying to lord it over the matter. So the Lord, out of his compassion, and he, in this way, he has given us the Vedic scriptures, where we can satisfy, by following the Vedic scriptures, we can satisfy our karma to the full. So that is called karma kanda, or Pravriti Marga. But as we are going along, the Vedas also give information saying that, look, this material, why you want to stay in this material world? Come to the spiritual world where you can enjoy with me. You can be with me. So you can do everything together with me. So give up this mentality. You cannot be God. You are all jiva. I am God. So you are all my children. So give up that idea that you want to be God or you want to be master. Come with me and enjoy with me. And in this way, this is your actual position. So this information is given in the Vedas. As the people read them, eventually they'll come across this understanding. So then they start to take up the path of bhakti. But at the same, so there's the path of bhakti, right? Or Bhakti Marga. So there is Pravriti Marga, Bhakti Marga, right? But then not everybody can take up bhakti, because the jiva's envy may still be very strong. What will stop the jiva from taking up bhakti? Only one thing, really. Of course, ignorance is one thing, but once ignorance is cleared, still, if they cannot accept the path of bhakti, is because they cannot bow their head down to Krishna. They cannot accept that I have a master, I have a Lord. So there are people like that. And I have met I've met quite a few of those people also. In my own family, I have some people like that. So, and that's the reason they are given another path, which is the Nivritti Marga, or the Nyana path. So this is meant for those who are envious. At the same time, they don't want to suffer in this material world. They are done with material enjoyment. So they want to be liberated. They want to attain moksha. So for these people, the Jnana path is given. But at the same time, every opportunity is there that in the Jnana path, they may switch to bhakti, if they can only give up their envy. So it begins by Karma Yoga, giving them, try to give up the enjoyment mentality. So Karma Yoga begins with this, isn't it? Perform your action, but give up the fruits of the action. So this is the training. This is the beginning of the training to give up this enjoying mentality, so that we can eventually cross over to bhakti. So in karma yoga, if one is intelligent and one follows this, then one will be able to switch to bhakti immediately. But if one still cannot give up that envy or the enjoyment or the envy, enjoying mentality may be given up, but still envy may be there. Why should I accept Krishna as God? Why should I bow my head to him? I am my own master. So if they think like that, all right, very well. From karma yoga, if they have conquered their senses, then they can come to Nyana Yoga. So Nyana Yoga is knowledge is given now. How the entire material creation is created, how the nature of the jiva, the nature of matter, the nature of everything. So in this way, at least by getting the knowledge, at least we can understand, wow, the creator is so wonderful. I cannot hope to do things like this. So wonderful is the creation. So wonderful is the creator. So by hearing about God, at least the envy can be broken little by little. So that's the point of Jnana Yoga. So then if they are intelligent and they are able to give up their envy, they may switch to bhakti. But still, if they cannot, then further purification is required. So therefore, before that, Jnana Yoga, at this stage, one is already liberated. Once one follows the Jnana path, up to the stage of Jnana Yoga, when one realizes that I am Brahman, I am spirit, I am not this body, at that point, liberation is already attained. But he's still in the elephant position, right? He's liberated, but he's still in this position. He's now stepped away from the ground, right? And he's standing on the ball. He's liberated, but it's a temporary position because he hasn't been fully established in the other side. So that's the reason he needs further purification. So Brahman is not the goal. One remains in Brahman, and then again, because he's not fully engaged, because the nature of the soul is engagement. So if he's not engaged, so therefore again, eventually he comes back down to the material world. So further purification will lead to dhyana. Dhyana means dhyana yoga, your meditation, and then this will eventually give the, what happened? Okay, so this will eventually give Paramatma realization. So the yogi is able to see the Paramatma within his heart. He sees the beauty of the Lord within his heart, how the Lord has been with him throughout life after life. He sees how the Lord has been his best friend, life after life, giving him everything, facilitating his desires for every action, every desire. And in this way, he starts falling in love with the Lord. So he starts giving up this envy mentality completely. He realizes, you are Vibhu, I am Anu, I am small, you are great. And then at this point, he may come to bhakti. So once reaching Paramatma, in that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness. And upon this, he thinks there is no greater gain, that he thinks he's already Brahman, he's free from materialism, no more 4 types of suffering and all that. And then he's very happy, but he thinks there is no further gain because he doesn't have information about the beautiful, loving, devotional service to the Lord. How, by performing devotional service, the devotees relish so much more bliss, incomparable bliss compared to anything else. So he doesn't know that. But he becomes attracted to the Paramatma. And then naturally he becomes inclined to serve the Paramatma. And as he does this, he switches on to bhakti. Okay. So therefore, at this point, this picture, this diagram we have shown. So he's still in the middle position. So therefore, he has to cross over to bhakti. Then only he can come to the spiritual energy and remain there eternally. So therefore, the bhakti path is ultimately the ultimate goal. So all the other paths are simply purification, step by step ladder. It's like a ladder, step by step, a ladder. You know, if we want to reach the top, we take step by step. Ultimately, it is to come to the platform of bhakti before we can leap into the spiritual world. So therefore, we have the bhakti path. Okay. So the bhakti path, right? So under the bhakti path, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. So Nivritti Marga, the Jnana path and the Bhakti path are both paths which will lead to liberation. But between the two, Bhakti is better. Why? Because it will bring you finally into the spiritual world, whereas liberation will not. It will only deliver us from this material world. It keeps us in some sort of a limbo, which is not really limbo, it's like Brahman. But in that level, there is no active engagement. So until he comes to bhakti, his position is temporary. So that's why Krishna says, work in devotional service is better. It gives you the highest goal. At the same time, it's easy to do also compared to the other path. So it begins with sadhana bhakti, right? We have already gone through this all several times. I'm just going through once more because it's very important for us to understand these concepts very clearly. So work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. So this is beginning with sadhana bhakti. It starts with this. We force ourselves. We understood the knowledge and we force ourselves to perform this bhakti and for the pleasure of the Lord. So initially it is a regulation. It's regulated. So that is how sadhana bhakti begins. Therefore, O Arjuna, so Krishna tells Arjuna, surrendering all your work to me. So this is beginning. Whatever we do is surrender it to the Lord with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claims for proprietorship, not to become the master, where Krishna is the master, and free from lethargy. One doesn't become lazy in this path, right? So then Krishna says, fight, or in other words, fight the modes within our heart and try to transcend the three modes. And in this way, we will develop and reach the next stage of Bhava Bhakti. So Bhava Bhakti, initially in Sadhana Bhakti, we force ourselves. We tell ourselves, okay, we have to do this, we have to chant, we have to get up early, we have to, and many things like this. But as we do, we become attached to it. We become attached to it and we start to relish pleasure. We start to relish happiness in these activities. And we don't want to give it up. So that is beginning of Bhava Bhakti. Bhava Bhakti is actually quite high. At this stage, one is already liberated at Bhava Bhakti stage. At this stage, in Bhava Bhakti, one is liberated and one is tasting the drop of that transcendental bliss. It is not just attachment, it's not just some kind of happiness that we are feeling, it's very, very high happiness. This is already attained in Bhava Bhakti because it's Brahman realized, right? And then this Bhava Bhakti becomes even more concentrated and one gets further refinement in the consciousness until one attains, then one is not so interested in the Paramatma. In the Bhakti path, one is not aiming for Paramatma, one is aiming for Bhagavan realization. Because Krishna says, right, and all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me, this is all Bhakti, right, renders service to me lovingly. He is the most intimately united with yoga and is the highest of all. So this will lead to Prema Bhakti. So this is the full bloom, the full fruit of that Bhakti path. So when one attains Prema Bhakti, one is now fit to go to the spiritual kingdom. So this is given by the grace of Krishna only. One cannot force Prema Bhakti. It's given, it's awarded by the Supreme Lord. So being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. So this is the path of bhakti which will lead to the highest and perfect goal, which is Bhagavan. So therefore, we go back to the original spiritual abode where the Lord is situated directly. So this knowledge is given, knowledge is the most confidential knowledge. This knowledge of bhakti, which will bring us to Bhagavan, is known as the most confidential knowledge, the king of knowledge, the king of secrets. So that's why chapter 9 is known as Raja Vidya Yoga. So it begins with this verse, because you are never envious of me. So you see, this chapter is a secret. Why is a secret? Because it's not simply given to anybody. Why? Because if this knowledge is given to envious people, they will offend this knowledge. They will perform aparadh. And when they offend this knowledge, it's not that Krishna is very touchy. It's nothing like that. Krishna, because when they offend this knowledge of bhakti, they actually get reactions. They get sinful reactions. So it's a negative thing. So that's why this knowledge is carefully kept in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita. And the other previous chapters are there to step by step gradually give knowledge, purify them, get knowledge until they come to this level. Then the Raja Vidya, or the king of knowledge, is ready to be handed. The person is prepared, and then now I can hand over this bhakti so the person can accept it very nicely, and there is no offense. They don't feel like, oh, why should Krishna? There are some people who will feel they will feel upset when people offer nice things to Krishna. There are people I've met who will come and say, why should the Lord be worshipped so wonderfully in the temple? Why should so many things be given to the Lord? Better to give to poor people. Yeah, that's true also. To give to poor people is one thing, but giving to poor people is simply charity. It will not bring us out of this material creation. Actually, everything belongs to the Lord. So when everything is given to the Lord, is the Lord going to take everything away? He returns it back to us only, isn't it? The point is, the consciousness has to be right. So we offer to the Lord, and after that, it's given away. Just like food. Food is offered to the Lord as bhoga, and after that, it is only given away to everybody, is fed to the poor as prasadam. So people fail to understand this, and then they commit offenses like this. So offenses are very dangerous. They can destroy bhakti, and they can create a lot of negative reaction. So the Lord wants to protect these people. So the Lord wants to protect. So that's why this bhakti knowledge is not so easily obtained in the Vedas. Vedas mostly talk about karma kanda, because okay, you want to enjoy, right? Majority of us here are here to enjoy. So fine, enjoy. So most of the Vedas speak about this. So here and there, some inclination is given to read higher, to understand better. And as the person realizes further and further, then he comes, by good fortune, if he gets into the connection of bhakti, or a practitioner of bhakti yoga through the disciplic succession, then his fortune is very amazing, because he actually gets the highest goal. This is the conclusion of Vedanta. So that's why it's called the most confidential knowledge. All right, so we will quickly go through the summary of this chapter. So I spent a bit more time talking about chapter 9 because this is very important chapter. So here the summary is, it begins by saying it's not for everybody. This is only for the non-envious, the anasuya, those who are not envious. And some information about this topic. It's the king, Raja Vidyam, king of knowledge, king of secrets, and nature of bhakti is also given. What is the nature of bhakti is also given. So the verse, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. So the nature of this bhakti is given as, it's called, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is also pavitram idam uttamam. Uttamam means the most, the highest, or the greatest amongst all purest things. Pavitra means that which purifies. So this knowledge is the greatest amongst all purificatory things. It can purify even the most impure thing. So that is, it's called Pavitram Idam Uttamam. It is the purest knowledge. And this bhakti, it's not something very abstract. It's easy to understand. So therefore, it's called Pratyakshagamam Dharmyam. It gives direct perception of the self by realization. Just like they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So if we eat the pudding, if we want to know something is going to taste nice or not, we try it. And then when we try it, we will actually see a difference. So therefore, it is very practical. One who practices Bhakti Yoga, they will develop, they can see the difference within them. So it gives direct perception of the self by realization. So what is these things that we have to do? Later we will speak about those things. And what else is the nature of bhakti? It is the perfection of religion, because this is the ultimate goal. This is really the plan of the Lord. This is the ultimate secret plan of the Lord, to get all the people in this world to eventually come to this path of bhakti. But still, it's very rare. And at this, the verse in chapter in Gita also says, right, this knowledge is very rare. Very few people actually take up this path. But the Lord is very patient. So he's time immemorial, he's there, and he comes and helps in different ways. He puts special sale, just to attract the people. Therefore, he has Kartik month. Simply accidentally someone is able to offer ghee lamp, they already planted the seed of bhakti in their heart. So it's just a matter of time. If they stroke it well, if they don't perform any aparats, eventually they will get that, they will come into contact. Somehow, somewhere, they will come into contact, either in this life or in the next life. So it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting. The fruit of this bhakti is everlasting. It's not the same as Nivritti Marga. It's not the same as Nyana Marga. Because their Brahman realization is not everlasting. One cannot remain indefinitely in Brahman. So therefore, this is everlasting. Once, because Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, upon reaching this abode of mine, one does not return. So he says that. So it is everlasting. And it is joyfully performed, unlike the Jnana path, where it is very difficult. So he is very joyfully. You don't have to do great austerities. Simple austerity only. Jnana path is very difficult. One has to exit life and then go to the forest, go to the cave and perform meditation, eating without eating and things like that. It's very difficult to do. Whereas bhakti, little austerity, on Ekadasi, twice in a month, we just have to fast with fruits. That also, people have found different ways to make the food very interesting. You can use all kinds of things nowadays in Ekadasi also to make they make Ekadasi pizza, they make Ekadasi, all kinds of things. It's still fine, but it's joyfully performed. So that's why Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness is all about chanting, dancing, feasting. So we chant and we sing and we chant and we dance, chanting and singing like that. And we have festivals, we come together, we associate with devotees, we do wonderful things for the pleasure of the Lord. And then we feast, we eat nicely also, prasadam. So this is basically Krishna consciousness. It's joyfully performed. It's very nice to hear. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So these processes of bhakti is very sweet. And it will grow. It will become sweeter and nicer the more we do it. So that is the nature of the Lord, because the Lord is unlimited. He is known as Madhupati, the Lord of sweetness, and his sweetness is unlimited. It ever increases. So this is the nature of the Lord. And then in chapter 9, Krishna will start talking about Achintya Krishna, how he is inconceivable, very difficult to understand. He has conflicting qualities. Example, everything is created by me, but yet creation does not rest in me. I made the creation, but that creation doesn't rest in me. So you see, both are true. Both are true. It cannot, in the material world, that cannot be true, but the Lord can make things true, even so. So he has this inconceivable potency, Achintya Shakti. He can make impossible possible, possible impossible. And he can have possible within impossible and impossible within possible. So someone once asked Prabhupada, a cheeky person, he went and asked Prabhupada, "Oh Prabhupada, can you tell me, can Krishna create a rock which he cannot lift?" This was the question asked to Prabhupada. Can Krishna is so powerful, he's so wonderful, he knows he can do anything, right? He can do anything. Can he create a rock which he cannot lift? So Prabhupada, without even blinking an eye, he looked at the person and said, yes, Krishna can create a rock which he cannot lift. But after that, he will take and lift it up. So this is Krishna's power. He can create a rock which he cannot lift, but the moment he wants to lift it, he can lift it up. So this is inconceivable. It's called Achintya. We cannot compute it in our mind. We don't, in our material mind, we cannot understand it. Not what about us? Even great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they can't understand the inconceivable potency of the Lord. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. I'm the maintainer, right? But I'm not part of the cosmic manifestation. So I am the source of creation and my will, but still all this work doesn't bind me. So like that, whereas this is not true for us. So for us, we don't have inconceivable potency. So Achintya Krishna. So that is verses 4 to 10 in chapter 9 talks about that. So yeah, and then all created beings rest in me. The whole cosmic order is under me. So this all I mentioned already. So this is the cosmic order. The cosmic order is part of the Bahiranga Shakti. The Bahiranga Shakti is the cosmic order which Krishna is talking about, which he has created just for the jivas to satisfy their karma. So this material energy, this material nature, which is one of my energies. So this Bahiranga Shakti is one of Krishna's energy. It's a shadow energy under my direction. So it's working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. The details of all this is discussed in chapter 13, 14, 15, right? Remember the Pradhan, and then the Mahatattva, and then the Prakriti. So all these things is described in chapter 13, 14, 15. So this is, and then the next topic was knowing Krishna. So Raja Vidya, greatness of bhakti, how Krishna is inconceivable, and knowing Krishna, though he is inconceivable, is Achintya Krishna, is difficult to understand Krishna, yet one can know Krishna if they try. How they can know Krishna? By Krishna's mercy, right? By the grace of Krishna. How will we attract the grace of Krishna? By us trying. So by endeavor, you know, the Damodar Leela, the 2 fingers too short. So endeavor and mercy. By our endeavor, sincere endeavor, we will attract the mercy of Krishna. And in this way, we can know Krishna also by the process of Bhakti Yoga. So Muddas cannot know. So it's not for everybody. So therefore, those who are envious, you know, those who are less intelligent, Muddas cannot know. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They think that I am ordinary. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. So, and Krishna also doesn't force this knowledge to them, because remember his policy, no forcing. So free will is given. So if they want to enjoy separate from me, and because of that they have come here, okay, let them enjoy. I'm not going to burst their bubble. Otherwise, if they know, then they will, whatever they are trying to enjoy will be tainted. They cannot feel, because they have not developed the bhakti yet. So Krishna leaves them alone. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, so then Buddhas cannot know, but Bhaktas can know. Who are the Bhaktas? The Bhaktas, Krishna refers to them as Mahatma. So this is the real Mahatma. Mahatma means those who are devotees of the Lord. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the Mahatmas, the great soul, Mahatma means great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. What is this divine nature? The Antaranga Shakti. So under the Antaranga Shakti, there are many, many components. So directly under the Antaranga Shakti, they are protected. Even though they are within the material creation, the Antaranga Shakti still protects them like a bubble within the material creation. So, and they are fully engaged in devotional service. Just like the lotus grows in water, but the water never wets the lotus. The water droplets will roll away from the lotus, right? So in the same way, a devotee, a pure devotee, though he's living in the material world, material energy cannot touch once he has taken up this path. So therefore, when one develops this bhakti, he is fit to be protected by the Antaranga Shakti. So it doesn't matter then whether he is in the spiritual world or whether he's in the material world, because either way he's under the Antaranga Shakti. So, but very soon Krishna will bring them back to him, because he wants their association also. That is his plan. And what is this bhakti path? How do we recognize such Mahatmas? How do we know who are these Mahatmas, Bhaktas? So Krishna gives the next verse. Always chanting my glories, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. So they are not lazy. Yatantascha drida vrataha, vrataha. Vrata means austerity, endeavoring with great determination. Namasyantas chamam. Namasyantas means those who bow down before me. So the envious cannot do this. And these great souls perpetually worship me. Nitya yukta upashate, with devotion. So this is how we can recognize such great souls. And after that, then the next part of which he says, Jnanis and Karmis also ultimately can get to know Krishna. Ultimately, not immediately, but ultimately they can come to him. Just like how we showed you in the beginning, right? So 9:15, others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. So they don't understand Krishna as supreme, but when they perform sacrifices, when they try to cultivate knowledge, they are indirectly worshipping the Lord. So they get purification. So Krishna says that clearly. But you should know, Arjuna, it is I who am the ritual. I am the sacrifice. I am that offering to the ancestors. I am the healing herb. I am the transcendental chant. I am the butter, and I am the fire and the offering. So Krishna is saying, simply by following the Vedas, even though they are following Karma Kanda, because the Vedas is given by the Lord, simply by following the Vedas, even though they are not actually aiming for bhakti, they are aiming for their own sense gratification. But because they are obedient and they are not offensive and they are following the scripture, they have faith in the scripture, they get purified. And when they get purified, they elevate in their consciousness. So gradually, life after life, they get higher and higher in consciousness until they are able to come to the path of bhakti. So that is the advantage. Whereas those who reject the Vedas, reject the scriptures, they go lower and lower. So that's the problem. So that's why we have to be careful who we preach to, because not everybody will be able to accept it in the right mood. So then they will commit offenses. So when they commit offenses due to our bad preaching, then it tends to hurt them. So therefore, carefully, so the deep glories are not given, but what we tell to general people, chant Hare Krishna, give them prasadam, give them Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, get them to come and hear various things. So slowly, they are able to receive this knowledge in the right mood. Then they become benefited very quickly. So that's the plan. That's Krishna's plan. Okay. So, right. So this is basically knowing Krishna. And then after that, the next topic in chapter 9 is Prayojan, Ishvara Parama Krishna. So the Prayojan means what's the goal? What's the fruit? By following this bhakti in everything, ultimately what's the fruit? The goal. So therefore Krishna says here, I am that Prayojan. You will attain me. I will give myself to you. You will come to me and I give myself to you. Just like how Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna. Just like how Krishna became tied by the love of Mother Yashoda. How he became purchased by Mother Yashoda. That and like that, many devotees have purchased Krishna. So this is therefore the secret. Why it's a secret? Because by this knowledge, by this bhakti, one can catch that Krishna within our heart. So Krishna, who cannot be conquered, can be conquered by bhakti. So that's why Krishna is very careful who he gives this to. So one has to go through this process of devotional service, and then he awards the prema to that person who is worthy. Because by that prema bhakti is that rope which tied Krishna's belly in the Damodar pastime. So therefore, we can understand, the goal of this, the prayojan means the goal, the objective of this confidential knowledge is to obtain Krishna. And Krishna reveals this. So Krishna reveals this. He says, I am the father of this universe. Therefore, you will come to me. You will obtain me. I am the father. I am the mother. So there's a nice song also. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Jiva Prana. So you are my father, you are my mother, and you are the life of my soul. You are the very life of my existence. I am the father, I am the mother, I am the support, I am the object of knowledge, I am the purifier, I am Om, I am the Vedas. And then he says, I am the goal, I am the sustainer, I am the master, I am the witness, I am the abode, I am the refuge, I am the most dear friend, I am creation, I am annihilation, I am the basis of everything, I am the resting place, and I am the supreme cause. Ishvara Sarva Karanam, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sarva Karana Karanam. And Krishna says also, I am both spirit and matter. Both spirit and matter are in me. So this Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, this material world, the spiritual world, both are part of the energies of the Lord. And finally, Krishna will say, this knowledge is Raja Guhyam, most confidential. And then he says, the karmis do not know. So, but gradually they can know if there is some kind of Agyata Sukruti. Simply the karmis, if they follow the Vedas, eventually they will get some Agyata Sukruti. And in this way they can, in great fortune, they will meet a devotee. So it is said, by the grace of Krishna, if we are sincere, by the grace of Krishna, we will get Guru or a devotee, right? And by the grace of Guru, we will get Krishna. So that's the process. So Krishna wants to see, can you first of all surrender to a Guru first? You want to surrender to me? So let me see, your test is you surrender to Guru first. So if you can surrender to Guru, then you can surrender to me. So that's the path. So therefore, the final verse of this chapter, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhukta cha prabhur eva cha. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. So one who is envious cannot digest this. So that's why this information is kept secret. Raja Vidya, Raja Yoga. And not only he talks about his position, I am the only enjoyer, right? And at the same time, this Raja Guhyam, this knowledge, Krishna preserves the bhaktas. What those who follow this path will get Krishna, and what will Krishna do for them? So this is what Krishna will do for them. When Draupadi was being disrobed, she raised her arms and cried out, "Hey Gopal, hey Govinda, hey Madhava." And immediately Krishna manifested himself. He came personally. It said that the sari which was going on continuously, Krishna incarnated himself as the sari. He came personally and became the sari. It's not like he just sent someone or whatever. He became the sari. It said that Krishna is very eager to serve his devotees. So he himself personally became that sari and unlimitedly gave Draupadi the sari shop, unlimited sari shop enterprise. So Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paryupashate Desham Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Kshema Vahamyaham. So he says, for those who are trying, for those who are doing this, who are trying in this path, right, who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So Krishna knows exactly what to do for them. And in this way, he brings them very quickly to him. So this is basically chapter 9. Raja Vidya, the most confidential knowledge. And then the last set of verses are Bhakti Marga, which is 925 to 934. What is Bhakti Marga? Krishna will reveal the path of devotional service, the Bhakti path. What to do? What is practically what we can do in this Bhakti path? So practical spirituality, which all of us in any situation, in any position, in any kind of job or family situation or whatever, there is no bar to performing bhakti. Anyone can do it. Practical spirituality. All it takes is sincerity, and sincerity means every day. So, or at least trying our best to do it every day. So that is practical spirituality. So what can we do every day? So Krishna says, 926, if one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So therefore we have to eat, right? So if every day we can offer food, bhoga, to the Lord, it's practical. So, and then we eat prasadam. So that is devotional service. So we offer with love, right? Remember, it's not about what we offer. What we offer is also important. We should try our best to offer vegetarian food. Definitely only vegetarian food, nothing other than vegetarian, non-vegetarian food. You know, food also, there's food in the mode of passion, food in the mode of ignorance, food in the mode of goodness. So as far as possible, food in the mode of goodness. But in the beginning, devotees offer whatever they cook for the pleasure of the Lord, even though it may not be in the mode of goodness. That is because in the beginning, we have to start somewhere. But definitely not sinful things, like, for example, no meat, no eggs, these two, and no liquor. So these three has to be completely avoided, and no onion and garlic. But anything other than that can be offered to the Lord directly. So soya, whatever, all can in the beginning. So one offers with me. So what's important is with love and devotion. So that is the key ingredient here. And then Krishna goes on, what else we can do, which is practical every day? Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, or whatever austerities or charities that you perform, Do it, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So this is also practical. We work, so we get some money, so we can use some of that money for the service of the Lord in different ways. So that we can use that money to maintain the family. If we are bringing up our family in spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness, that is also one thing. Cooking for the Lord, that is also. Buying the house we build for the Lord, we keep the Lord in the center of the house, where the Lord becomes the master. Everything is given to him. We buy anything also, we offer to the Lord. This idea. We buy a new car. We think of the Lord. Keep the Lord in our thinking, in our mind. We use the facilities as far as possible for the service of the Lord and his devotees, because the Lord and his devotees are non-different. So therefore, to serve the devotee, to serve the Guru, to serve great Mahatmas, we can do all these things. These are practical activities. So therefore, we can do offerings, right? 926 to 928. Krishna says, equal to all, but friend to the devotee. So Krishna is the friend to the devotee. He's equal to everybody, but he gives extra special care to the devotee. And he's very forgiving. My devotee never perishes. Even if the devotee makes some mistakes, right? As long as the devotee is sincere, the Lord forgives and he protects them. Easy path for everyone. Low birth or high birth, learned or illiterate, doesn't matter. Anyone can follow the path of bhakti. Devotee engagement, 933 to 934. He talks about all the things devotees can do. Then Krishna says, therefore, O jivas, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. So in this way, you will develop a desire to come to me. And in this way, you will develop love for me. And in this way, you will develop bhakti. And when you have developed bhakti, you can come to me directly. So Krishna is very eager for us to all go back to him. And then he gives all these different things he does just to attract us, just to give us a hint. So the Bhakti Marga is therefore, it basically, the key principle for us to remember is this. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. How to do these things exactly? So this is where many scriptures are there. Srimad Bhagavatam is there. We can hear in detail from Srimad Bhagavatam how to do these things, how devotees have done this. That is where association of devotees is important. We can speak to devotees, we can talk to them, and how we can encourage each other in doing things like this. So ultimately, we remember the 9 processes of bhakti, beginning with Shravanam, hearing, and moving on to Kirtanam, chanting. So these 2 are very important, and as far as possible should be done daily. Definitely chanting needs to be done daily. So a fixed amount of chanting daily, and this is our sincerity towards the Lord. So this is practical spirituality, bowing down, worshipping, offering food, dedicating our activities and our life for the Lord, thinking of the Lord as far as possible, and in worshipping him and the devotees. So these are all practical spirituality. So Krishna says, being in this way, by following the path of bhakti, by putting Krishna in the center of our lives, putting Krishna in the center of our lives, being completely absorbed in me, that's why Prabhupada called this society International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So it is to think it's a society which is directly based on the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna consciousness, right? Completely absorbed in me. So that's why this society is like that. It's everything revolves around the Lord. So surely you will come to me, Krishna says. So this is the goal of life. And then we have this very beautiful verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sakranmanaha Krishna Padara Bindayor Niveshitam Tadgunaragiyer Iha Nate Yamam Pasas Britas Chatat Bhatan Swapne Api Pasyanti Hichirna Niskritaha. Translation. This is from the 6th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry, 6th canto, 6.119, not 1.6.19, 6.119. Although not having fully realized Krishna, persons who have even once surrendered completely unto his lotus feet and who have become attracted to his name, form, qualities, and pastimes, even if they have not fully realized Krishna, just some attraction and pastimes, they will become completely freed of all sinful reactions. For they have thus accepted the true method of atonement. Even in dreams, such surrendered souls do not see Yamaraj or his order carriers, who are equipped with ropes to bind the sinful. So therefore, this will save one from the greatest fear, simply by performing some devotional service. Even if it's not complete, even if you are just beginning, it will save us from the greatest danger. What is the greatest danger? To see Yamaraj and his order carriers, the Yamadutas. So with regards to that, I wanted to end by giving a story. So this is a story which is narrated in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. So it revolves around this person, a Brahmana. So there was once a Brahmana, and this Brahmana, he was born in a good family. He had very nice upbringing. He had knowledge, and he had this is in a city called Kanya Kubja. This is very old story, many cycles of yugas previously. So in this time, in the city of Kanya Kubja, this Brahmana was there, and he was well bred, well brought up. He knew and he performed some activities, spiritual activities. He knew the scriptures, and he tried to follow many things correctly. And his name was Ajamila. So that's the name of this Brahmana, Ajamila. So, and he was married to a good Brahmana wife and children and all that, and he had family members. But one day, this Ajamila, what happened? He happened to travel somewhere, and in his travel, he came across a scene. In this scene, he came across a situation where a drunken fourth-class man, a Shudra man, a drunken fourth-class man, was engaging in a loving affair with a prostitute. Both of them were drunk, and they were intoxicated, and they were embracing each other and kissing each other and all kinds of things, loving embraces. And both were drunk, and the lady, the prostitute, due to her drunkenness and due to the situation of what was happening, her clothes have become loose. So, and in seeing this kind of situation, Ajamila came across this in the forest. And as soon as he saw this, something awoke in his heart, deep inside. He had lived a life of austerity and spirituality. But when he saw this, there was a deep-seated desire in his heart to enjoy. And it is described that in the material world, amongst all forms of enjoyment, the scriptures say this, the sexual enjoyment is considered the highest material enjoyment. So, and this Ajamila had that desire due to his previous lives and all that. He had that desire in his heart. And when he saw this scene, that desire awoke in his heart. So what he did, instead of he tried to avert his gaze. He tried to, this is all not right and everything. And then, but despite his thinking, he was desiring to see. He wanted to take a peek. And when he took a peek, the peek became stare, and the stare became continuous, continuously watching what was happening. And then after that, he left the place, and his mind was very disturbed. And in this way, he was thinking of the situation, he was thinking of the scene, and he was completely attracted to that girl, to that prostitute. He knew about this prostitute. They are in the village. He's from the village girl only. He didn't know that she was a prostitute, but then he knew about it now. So because his mind was so disturbed, somehow providence and his inclination, he somehow engaged this girl, this prostitute, to become a servant in his house. So although this Brahmana had all good character, good qualities, good family, good conduct, still this is the power of Maya. Maya is very powerful. She knows exactly how to pull out the desire, the deep-rooted desire from our heart. So therefore, it's very important, one has to remain strong in spiritual association. So anyway, there was, for whatever reason, right, this Ajamila, because of his passion, he engaged this prostitute to be a servant in his house. And after this woman became a servant in his house, they started to have secret affair within the family. And then one day they were discovered, and then it became a problem. But he was so enamored by this prostitute that he was completely enraptured by her. And he was even willing to give up his good name, his good family. He gave up his wife. He gave up his old father and mother who were dependent on him. And he gave them all up, and he became an outcast in his village. But he didn't care. He gave that up also, his reputation, everything, and he eloped with this, he ran away with this prostitute to live separately. He stole money from his family, and he went away. But because his reputation was already known, so, and he was a Brahmana, so therefore he could not engage in any Brahminical services. Nobody would want to come to him. And he couldn't beg for charity also, because nobody wanted to have anything to do with him who ran away with a prostitute. It was considered a very great sin. And he didn't care. He was so enamored. So how to maintain the prostitute? Because the prostitute was very expensive. So he started to do more sinful activities. He became a thief. He started stealing, and he would rob people. He degraded to this extent. But the prostitute became, they started having children, 1 child, 2 child, 3 child. The expenses started to shoot up. The prostitute wanted more and more, and the children also have to be maintained. So stealing wasn't enough. So he started killing, and he started robbing people's houses. And when they caught him, he killed them. So soon he became a great dacoit. He became terrible. From a Brahmana, he became the worst fallen, sinful person. So there's some pictures. So murder, kill, pillage, he was willing to do anything simply to enjoy with this prostitute wife, to support for his family. So in this way, he was young. He was 20, less than 20. And in this way, he lived with her. And then for 88 years, until he was 88 years old. And by that time, he had 10 sons. And the last son was just born when he was 88. So, sorry, 86 or something, 80 something, like at least 80. So he had 10 children, and the last child was very young, only about 3 years old, like that, toddler. So that was his life. And finally, at the age of 88, finally death came for him. So this was his situation. At the ripe old age of 88, he is finally leaving his body. And when he was about to leave his body, he was lying on the bed, sick and everything. And while he was having his child, he was very close to his last child. This last child was very young, 3 years old, 4 years old. And he named this child Narayana. When they grow older, people start reminiscing about their young time, about how they were when they were young. So due to his good karma, which he used to do when he was younger, he was, after all, brought up from a good family. He had some good sukrutis. So somehow it injected into his mind that I should name this child Narayana. He liked that name. And he likes to call him Narayana, come here, Narayana, eat with me, come sit with me, Narayana, I will give you food, you give me food. So when Narayana eats, he also will eat. He will not eat unless Narayana eats. So he became very close to his small child. And even when he was about to die, his small child Narayana was just a few meters away, playing. And when he was dying, suddenly everything grew dark. And then he heard terrible sounds and terrible eerie laughter, and a terrible heat was burning him. And then he saw 3 horrific figures. So these 3 horrific figures, it's described that they had deformed bodily features, very fierce, with twisted faces and gnashing teeth, and hair standing erect on their bodies, very fearsome looking personalities. And they were carrying fearsome looking utensils also. They carried a rope which is like burning rope and full of thorns, and they were carrying a hook. So in this way, they wanted to hook the soul from the heart of Ajamila and drag him in this rope. So they came to bring him to the abode of Yamaraj. And out of fear, this Ajamila, he was looking at these fearsome creatures. He became choked, and somehow, normally when they are dying, they cannot speak. The mucus and the kapha, pitta, vata will choke them. But somehow he was able to croak out. He at this time also, because he was so attached to his son, at this time also he was calling out to his son, "Oh Narayana, oh Narayana." So like that. And immediately, as soon as he said that, the scene changed. 3 different shining personalities immediately emerged in that dark scene, and they started to say halt to Yamadutas. These are the Yamadutas, and these are the Vishnu Dutas. The Duta means ambassadors. So the Yamadutas are the fearsome servants of Yamaraj, and the Vishnu Dutas are the servants of Narayana. And they say halt. And then the Yamadutas were surprised. Never before in their lives, in the beginning of creation until now, has anybody stopped them from doing their duty. And then they were like looking at the Vishnu Duta, say, "Who are you to say halt? Who are you that has the audacity to challenge the jurisdiction of Yamaraj, the Lord of Death and the Lord of Justice?" So when they asked like that, Vishnu Dutas smiled at them and they said, "If you are actually servants of Yamaraj, you must explain to us the meaning of the religious principles and the symptoms of irreligion. Tell us what is dharma and what is not. What is the process of punishing others? Who are the actual candidates who need to be punished? Are everyone to be punished according to their fruitive activities, or only some of them? So tell us all these things." They spoke in very commanding voices. And then to this, the Yamadutas replied, "That which is prescribed in the Vedas constitutes dharma, the religious principles. And the opposite of that is irreligion. Whatever that's not in the Vedas is considered irreligion. So Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana himself, and are self-born. So the Vedas are not human-made, self-born. This we have heard from Yamaraj. Our master has told us. The sun, the fire, the sky, the air, the devatas, the moon, the evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and the Paramatma himself are all witnesses of the activities of the living entity. So they are all witnessing and recording. And then they continue like that. It goes on, there's some long conversation, and throughout this conversation, this Ajamila is watching what's happening between the Vishnudutas and Yamadutas, right? And then they continue, in proportion to the extent of one's religious or irreligious actions in this life, you know, the karma and the vikarma, sukarma and vikarma, one must enjoy or suffer the corresponding reactions of his karma in the next life. So, therefore, we have come to bring this sinful person, Ajamila. And then they continue, the omnipotent Yamaraja is as good as Lord Brahma, for while situated in his own abode in Yamaloka, or in everyone's heart like Paramatma, he mentally observes the past activities of a living entity and thus understands how the living entity will act in future lives. So there are few people, many people actually, who can see past, present, and future. And one of those people is Yamaraj. So he knows what will happen. But after hearing this, the Vishnudutas, they shook their head. They said, alas, how painful it is that you are confusing irreligion to religiosity. And you are needlessly punishing a unpunishable person. So then Vishnudutas say, Ajamila has already atoned for all his sinful actions. Indeed, he has atoned not only for sins performed in one life, but for those performed in millions of lives. For in a helpless condition, he chanted the holy name of Narayana. Even though he did not chant purely, because he wasn't calling out to the Lord, he was calling out to his son, Narayana. But he chanted with anxiety and he chanted purely without any offense. And therefore, he is now pure and eligible for liberation. Not only to be saved from Yamaraj, he is actually eligible for liberation. So this is in the Srimad Bhagavatam 6-7. You know, to chant the Lord's name at the time of death is not ordinary. So if one can do it, even if accidentally, it brings one to the point of liberation. But yeah, Ajamila didn't chant it with devotion. He chanted it in anxiety, crying out for help, but he was aiming it for his son. So it wasn't pure holy name, but still it was sufficient to save him from death, and it was even sufficient to give him liberation. Such is the mercy of the Lord, right? So therefore, the Vishnudutas say, the chanting of the holy name of Lord Vishnu is the best process of atonement. For who? For a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays friends or relatives, for one who kills a Brahmana, or for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or a superior, for one who murders women, children, the king or his own parents, for one who slaughters cows, and for all other sinful men. Chanting the names of the Lord is the best atonement. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Lord, because the Lord will consider, this man has chanted my name. My duty is therefore to give him protection. So the Lord always thinks like this. So, and then the Vishnudutas continue. By following the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or undergoing atonement, sinful men do not become as purified as by chanting once the holy name of Lord Hari. So other processes of atonement cannot really purify the desire to sin, except the chanting of the holy name. Although ritualistic atonement may free one from sinful reactions, it does not awaken devotional service, unlike the chanting of the Lord's names, which reminds one of the Lord's fame, quality, attribute, pastime, and paraphernalia. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is what Bhagavatam says. This is the Vishnu Dutas himself saying. This is accepted by all learned scholars and of the scriptures. As a fire burns dry grass to ashes, so the holy name of the Lord, whether chanted knowingly or unknowingly, burns to ashes without fail, all the reactions of one's sinful activities. So this is the power of the chanting of the holy name. The chanting of the holy name is the Lord himself. In Kali Yuga, the name of the Lord is the Lord himself. The Lord incarnates as his name. So after hearing this, then the Yamadutas immediately accepted whatever the Vishnu Dutas said. And anyway, they were not satisfied. Later, the Bhagavatam will say how they went back to Yamaraj and had a conversation with Yamaraj. But that is not, we won't discuss that today. But anyway, after this conversation, this Ajamila, he was watching all this. And then the Yamadutas disappeared. And the Vishnu Dutas, they saw that Ajamila was about to speak. So then Vishnu Dutas also disappeared. And then Ajamila was left in his bed. He didn't die. And he was shaking, beads of perspiration. And at the same time, he was blissful because he had the association of the Vishnu Dutas. So, and he was manifesting ecstasy. And then he completely repented. He had a complete 380 degrees change of heart. And then he started offering prayers. Prayer after prayer he was offering. And then he was repenting. And then he said, was it not for my past devotional service, how could I have gotten an opportunity to chant the holy name of Vaikuntapati when I was just ready to die? So therefore, whatever service he did in the past actually saved him. Somehow it gave him the memory to name his child Narayana. And in this way, he was chanting Narayana, Narayana, Narayana already with his son. And by this constant chanting of Narayana every day with love, he was able to chant the name of Narayana even accidentally at the time of death. And that was sufficient to save him. So realizing this, knowing that he has been given a second chance, so immediately he abandoned his family, he abandoned his wife, he abandoned his children, everyone, and then he left for Haridwar, for a holy place. And he sat there and he accepted a guru, followed the path of the Bhakti path, and continuously chanted the names of the Lord without stopping. And practicing this, eventually he again died. And at this time, it was very different. The same Vishnu Dutas who came previously, they came now and they were smiling and they were welcoming him very nicely in this Pushpaka Viman, and they welcomed Ajamila, and Ajamila also received a body just like the Vishnu Dutas. So this is one of the types of liberation. It's called Sarupya. That means to have the same type of body like the Lord, like Lord Vishnu. So, and in this way, they went to Vaikuntha to serve Lord Vishnu eternally as his servant. So this is the story of Ajamila. So we can see the power and the mercy of the Lord of chanting the holy names of the Lord. So we like to end with this verse, which is also from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the same part of the story of Ajamila. Mriyamano harir nama grunan putro pacharitam Ajamilo api agatama kim uta sradaya grunan. While suffering at the time of death, Ajamila chanted the holy name of the Lord, And although the chanting was directed toward his son, he nevertheless returned home back to Godhead. Therefore, if one faithfully and inoffensively chants the holy name of the Lord, where is the doubt that he will return to Godhead if Ajamila can return? So therefore, with this, I hope we can all strengthen our resolve further to chant the holy names of the Lord. So let us feed the soul with the food for the soul. And all together, we can, at least for now, say this verse. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much for listening and also chanting. So hopefully we can continue our chanting daily, a fixed set of rounds with the beads, and in this way develop our dormant love for the Lord and purify ourselves and develop bhakti. So thank you. If there are any other questions or anything that you would like to say, you can say anything. Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions? Anything you want to ask? Anything we want to discuss? Any doubts?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhu, can you just repeat the word, the full sentence for the Sarva Karana Karanam?
Okay, that one is from the Brahma Samhita. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It means Satchit Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha. Krishna is the Parama Ishvara, the supreme controller. Satchit Ananda Vigraha, and his body is Sat, eternal, Chit, full of knowledge, and Ananda, full of bliss. Vigraha. Vigraha means his form. Anadir Adir Govinda. He is the original. He is the oldest. Anadir, without a beginning. He doesn't have a beginning. He is the eternal principle. And Sarva Karana Karana means, Sarva means all, everything. Karana, that means the cause of everything. He is the cause. Sarva Karana Karana. That is the verse. It is spoken by Lord Brahma in his prayers to Govinda.
Okay, Prabhu. Can we have that particular verse stated in our written in our group?
Okay, I will send it
the
in
whole,
the
whole, what do you call that verse, Prabhu?
Sure.
I don't know. I have so much attracted to that particular
Yes, it's very beautiful verse. It's from the Brahma Samhita. Many, many beautiful verse. You know, there's another verse. Venum kanvantam aravinda dalaya taksham barhavatam samasitam buddha sundarangam kandarpakoti kamaniya visesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So like that, there are many, many beautiful verses. We can memorize them and we can say it to the Lord. It's one of the it's prayer, Vandanam, one of the 9 processes of bhakti. This particular verse says how the Lord is so beautiful. His beauty defeats millions of cupids. Madan is Cupid. He is considered to be very beautiful. But the Lord's beauty defeats millions. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. So Kamaniya means Cupid. It defeats all the beauty of all of them. So very nice.
Okay. Govinda Adipurusham.
Yes, Govinda Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Okay.
Haribol.
Thank you. Haribol. Prabhu, one more, Prabhu.
Hmm.
Somebody during this Deepavali asked me, came to my house, they asked me, because I was just like, giving away some Bhagavad Gita and all that. They asked me, did Krishna declare, he was asking me, did Krishna declare himself as God in any of this book, He said, I was a bit confused with that statement,
Well, Bhagavad Gita, so many places he declares. The entire chapter 10 and chapter 11 is declaring. So
He is declaring that he is Sarva Karana Karanam, but he never said that I am God. Did he say that?
Yeah, he says, I am the Supreme. If you read chapter 10, read chapter 11, read chapter 9, he declares everywhere. Every chapter he says that.
He is the Supreme. He said he is the Supreme. He
Yes,
never used the word I'm God, isn't it?
he does. Me. He says I, Mama, to me, I. He uses the word I.
Okay.
Mom, right? He does.
Well, I showed that chapter 9 about the qualities of God,
Not only he says, Arjuna also says, others also say, Brahma says, Lord Shiva says, everybody says. So the entire conclusion of the Vedas says the Supreme, and he himself says in Bhagavad Gita. So that's it's there. I can later on I can post many verses. There are so many. Just offhand, I can just say, what's that verse? Sarva, the peace verse, the peace formula. Mam, what do you call that one? Remember now? It's just not coming into my head. Or that verse, where's that verse? Janma karma chame divyam. Janma karma chame divyam. Chaktva. Okay, it's all getting jumbled up in my head now. So that particular verse, right? It says, one who understands my nature, my birth, my activities, and my nature. He says they will eternally come to the Supreme. So he declares clearly.
Janma Karma Chami Vidya is chapter 12, Prabhu.
No, that's chapter 4. Then he also says, that peace formula, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. I am the Lord of all I am the Lord of all planets. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sarva Bhuta, Sarva Loka, how does it begin? Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Suhurda Sarva Bhutanam, Nyatva Mam Shantim Richatim. So one who knows that I am the Lord of all planets, the Lord of all devatas, the Lord of all living entities, one who knows this attains peace. This is the verse in chapter 5, peace formula.
Okay.
So therefore, definitely, if you read Bhagavad Gita, everywhere he declares this.
The word God is not there. He said it's Lord, he's the Supreme.
Yeah, but Bhagavat means God, right? So he doesn't call himself God, but he calls himself the Supreme. So it's the same thing. What else is greater than Supreme? Supreme.
Yeah. It is the Christian people who use that word God.
Yeah. You can say that's God. Yeah. Krishna is God. God is. So in that sense.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, okay, we can end here then if there's nothing further. So we will see you all again next week. Hare Krishna.